the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you live from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, AM, FM 24/7. We're everywhere. And joining me today is the Patriot from the Battle-Born State. That's the Silver State in Nevada, and that is my very good friend, Sharon Angle. Sharon, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you so much, Rick. You know, it's great to be back on the radio with you on this fine Friday, fabulous Friday. Generally, I get to do terrific Tuesdays with today. It's the Fabulous Friday show.
Fabulous Friday with a little bit of rain, but that's okay. We need it here. That seems like we've had a very chilly springtime in spite of the global warming, climate change experts who tell us that things are getting warmer, but we're getting our April showers in May today. But Sharon, it's great to have you with me today, and tell us what's going on with your campaign to run for Senate Nevada.
Rick, I'm so glad you always ask me about it. Every week I get to give our listeners an update on the Senate campaign, and of course we're now just about 4 weeks out of the primary. That means we've got 2 weeks until early voting, 2 weeks of early voting, and then the primary. So anything that we want to say to voters, we better get it said now, because they will start voting on May the 28th. And what we know is most voters don't even think about voting until just about this time. So we're getting our commercials ready to go. We've got our mail pieces ready to go. We've got our walkers and our phone callers ready to go. Everybody's ready. And we want to be ready when people are ready to listen. That's probably the secret of any good campaign, is that you get your message out when people are really hearing the message. And, of course, we do have a story to tell, Rick. Okay. And the story to tell, of course, is that there are 9 people in this primary. It's a crowded primary. Angle and 2 Hex and 6 others. It's interesting when you get 2 people with the same last name. Voters aren't confused enough until you get people with the same last name, and they're not sure which one's which. And of course, one of those Hex is a fellow that's been in Congress for 5 years, and conservativereview.com. It's a great website. I would urge our listeners to go to conservativereview.com, and the reason that they'd want to go there is because they do an analysis of the record of every congressman and every senator, and they don't just take the years that those congressmen and senator are running for re-election. They take a composite of the whole of their career so that they can get a real feel for where they stand. Are they really conservative? Because everybody's a conservative when they're running for office, especially on the Republican side, and often on the Democrat side they'll claim to be conservative as well. So it's a great thing to be a conservative around election time, but it doesn't mean that they always vote that way. as we've found out from the many, many guests that we've had on Conservative Commando's radio show, they will tell us all the time that one of the biggest frustrations in Washington, D.C. is that they lie to win, and after they've won, they lie. So we've got that going on here as well. In Nevada, we've got a congressman who votes conservatively 36% of the time, which means 62% of the time he's voting just like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats. So when you look at a record like that, as opposed to someone like Mike Lee out of Utah, who has 100% conservative voting record, it's not impossible to vote conservative. It's just not the norm, I guess, for those in Washington, D.C. We, in Nevada, have a delegation that has a solid F. Nobody can seem to get above that 60% pass grade on conservatism. And I think everyone in our listening audience would be interested in going to conservativereview.com and checking out where their legislators stand.
Absolutely. And Sharon, I've said it many times here in Conservative Commandos. We have to support conservatives wherever we can find them, especially during this election season, regardless of who ends up running for president, be it Hillary Clinton, be it Joe Biden, be it Donald Trump. We are going to need to surround these people with conservatives to keep them on the straight and narrow. And Sharon, I know you, and I know if you were in Congress, you would have a 100% conservative record. I know you would not be voting with Nancy Pelosi. I know that for a fact. Well, I think that, even if you weren't sure how the vote should go, if you didn't have Mike Lee leading the pack and showing you what 100%er looks like, even if you didn't have that, all you'd have to do is watch Nancy Pelosi push her button, and if she votes yes, of course you're voting no. I would think that would be a no-brainer, wouldn't you? I would definitely think so, Sharon, and all I could say is that I encourage our listeners to get aboard the Sharon Angle train, right? Sharon Shuttle. The Sharon Shuttle. Get on the Sharon Angle train. Go to Sharon's website. Donate. I've donated, and if I donate to something, I really believe in it. I'm thrifty, Sharon. I am very thrifty, and I only invest my money on sure things. And we have to support conservatives no matter where they are. So, Sharon, tell our audience where they can go to get onto your website and how they can help you.
My website is SharonAngle.com. Pretty easy, SharonAngle.com. And I'm asking our listeners to fit me into their budget. I know that they're not the big money that comes out of Washington, D.C. They're not special interests. They're not lobbyists. I know that. I know that when I'm asking them to send whatever they can afford, that's exactly what they're going to send. And that's what I need, is what they can afford. I need them to put me into their budget for the month. And they can go to SharonAngle.com, push the donate button, and put that amount in there. There's some suggested amounts, I'll tell you that, Rick. I wrote a new book, you know that. It's a new angle on the legislature. And I mean, not on America, a new angle on America. And it's available for anyone who gives a donation one time of $125 or more. So that is not just a out of the sky figure that I pulled. It actually is the average amount of donations during the 2010 campaign. 250,000 people gave an average donation of $125 one time. Some of them gave it in $25 increments. Some gave it all at once. Some gave more and averaged it out. But that in itself, if everyone would just do that, we would have more than enough to win a campaign and defeat the special interest supported folks that come out of D.C. without a clue about what's going on here in the States, Rick. They don't understand how they hurt us. Mm-hmm. This fellow I'm talking about, he supports amnesty. He supports Obamacare. He voted to fully fund Obamacare. And, Obamacare tore 21,000 jobs out of Nevada. And 25,000 people lost their health insurance. He's hurting Americans with his vote.
And that's just in Nevada.
That's just Nevadans.
Yeah.
Well, there are websites out there. You can find out how much your state lost because of Obamacare. There's a website just dedicated to that. And people need to know that these votes have consequences. And when we send someone, it's not just because they're ideologically lining up with us, Rick. It's because when they don't vote for the things that are conservative and mean something constitutionally, they're hurting Americans. They're hurting us. And it's a tangible hurting. You lose your insurance. You lose your job. These are things that no American can really afford. We feel it.
I'm looking at an article from The Hill now. It's estimated that 2 million jobs have been lost because of Obamacare. 2 million jobs. Hey, Sharon, let's take a break and we'll come back on the other side and talk some more. And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, AM, FM 24/7. Today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back.
They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, we're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know? Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to Conservative Commando's radio show, and if you'd like to hear rebroadcast, otherwise known as podcast, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m., log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com. At 1 p.m., roarradio.net. At 9 p.m., log on to highplainsdailynews.com, or you can hear our show and all the shows that are part of Conservative Commandos here at WNJC 1360 from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. You don't need an app. You don't need to download anything. You just need that number, 832-999-1199. Joining me today is Sharon Angle as my co-host. And Sharon, let's go over our guest list.
Surely. Well, at 3:35, our guest is Tim Winder. He's the president of the Parents Television Council and is a sought-after speaker and interview subject. He can often be seen on television news circuit, including CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, and he is frequently cited by the nation's leading newspapers such as USA Today and the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. And he's a regular source for numerous industry publications such as Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Broadcasting, and Cable. Tim is going to be talking to us about coalition calls on the FCC to reform TV rating systems. So we have this, he calls it the programming of a vast wasteland. And, you know, Rick, I think you and I do sometimes feel that way, and more of our listeners are feeling like that all the time, that television is just a vast wasteland. And this week, the chairman of the FCC, Newton Minow, his daughter joined the PTC, and this is something that they're going to do, is they're going to reform the television ratings. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see if they're really going to protect our children or even us. Sometimes I feel like I needed to be protected from my TV.
Yeah,
and then go ahead.
I was just going to say I like TV. I watch a lot of TV, Sharon. But the stuff I like is like the National Geographic Channel, the History Channel, the Travel Channel. There's some very good things on TV, but it's a minority of programming anymore that's good television, Sharon. Most of it is garbage. It's absolute garbage. It's absolute filth and garbage.
Well, and that's what I liked about that classification, the vast wasteland.
Yeah.
Living in the desert, I know what a vast wasteland looks like, and sometimes it's prettier than what's on TV. At 4:05, we've got Ron Meyer, who is the editor of Red Alert Politics. In 2015, Ron was elected to the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, serving the Broad Run district, and he's also a former spokesman of Young America's Foundation and president of Springboard Media Strategies. He has been a frequent guest on Fox News, Fox Business, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, and radio shows across the nation. And he is talking to us about Wendy's. They're going to replace workers with kiosks in up to 6,000 and more restaurants. This is a big deal, Rick.
It is a big deal.
You know, Wendy's, McDonald's, all of these fast food places are great places for students to get their first job.
Mm-hmm.
And if they replace these jobs with kiosks, there are no entry-level jobs. I mean, there goes our entry-level jobs, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
And that's what makes it such a big deal. So we'll be interested to hear just how that's going to impact us and the workforce when Wendy's does that. And we know that part of the reason they're going to do it, Rick, is Obamacare.
And also the $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
You know, people are clamoring for this $15 minimum wage. Oh, it's going to lift people out of poverty. But let's face facts. Businesses aren't going to pay someone $30,000 a year to take orders. And that's what $15 an hour works out to. It's a $30,000 a year job. And that's just not going to happen. So you're going to see more and more of these kiosks. I know around here we've got a grocery store chain called Wawa. And already they're using kiosks. They're using order machines. And you know, they work. The order machines work. The kiosks work. It's efficient. And those kiosks are going to replace a lot of people. A lot of people are going to lose jobs. A lot of people aren't going to get jobs. You know, every time the minimum wage has been raised somewhere, people lose jobs. It's non-productive.
It is non-productive, as you say, and every time we put some other regulation, governmental regulation on business, we see jobs go away. That's the key to more employment. If you want to create jobs, get rid of some of the government regulation, Rick. Lower taxes, less government regulation.
Absolutely.
More jobs.
Absolutely.
Better the economy.
Absolutely. Get government out of the hair of business, and jobs will be created.
That's right. That's right. Well, our third guest at 4:35 is Trey Golan Phillips, who is the assistant editor and staff writer for The Blaze. And prior to joining The Blaze, he was the opinion editor at the Liberty Champion, Liberty University student-run newspaper, and he has written on a wide range of topics spanning culture, politics, religion. His work has been featured in the Washington Post, the Christian Examiner, Fox News, Religion News Service. Additionally, he has been cited in the New York Times, MSNBC, the Richmond Times, Dispatch, and MTV News, and he's interviewed personalities like Liberty University President Jerry Falwell Jr., author Johnny Moore, former Minnesota Rep. Michelle Bachmann, author and journalist Jonathan Merritt, and many, many more. We're going to talk to him about an article that he's written, Cruz Campaign Set to Challenge Trump in Texas. We have a busy weekend planned.
Yeah, apparently.
What can that mean? What can that mean? I thought it was over, Rick.
Well,
I thought it was all over.
We will find out from Trey, but apparently what's going on this weekend is the Texas State Convention. So, it's going to be a very busy time in Texas.
I guess so. Well, you know, I thought it was all over, but the shouting in Cleveland, you know, I thought we had Trump. We're just now trying to figure out what his cabinet looks like, and everybody is trying to reconcile as best they can so that we can go after Hillary. And
yeah, it seems like every time.
I'm really interested to see what Trey has to say about this.
Yeah, and it seems like every time Donald Trump tries to do any reconciliation, he goes farther and farther to the left. But you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philly, around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, AM, FM 24/7. And on the other side, we're going to be talking with Tim Winter, who is the president of the Parents Television Council. We'll be right back.
I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
You've heard Paul Delks playing the music on the Your Music Matters morning show. He is also an experienced mortgage loan officer working for U.S. Mortgage Corporation and assists homeowners navigate the reverse mortgage process. If you are finding yourself asking questions whether or not you set aside enough for retirement, Paul can sit down with you, your family, and your financial advisor and discuss how a reverse mortgage may be a valuable resource for your retirement plan. You will be responsible for paying your taxes and insurance, and the reverse mortgage can help with this and other expenses, such as home health care or other untimely bills. Put Paul's 20-plus years of experience to work for you, as choosing the right option for your situation can be critical. Call Paul at U.S. Mortgage Corporation at 877-213-9977. That's 877-213-9977. Or go to seniormatters.info for more information. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is a licensed mortgage banker in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 3901. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is located at 201 Old Country Road, Suite 140, Melville, New York, 11747. This advertisement applies to first lien mortgages. Paul E. Dilks, NMLS is 485904.
Hi, we're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know?
Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcast of our show, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or CCRS Network, or mornings at 9 a.m., log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com, at 1 p.m., roarradio.net, or at 9 p.m., highplainsdailynews.com, or you can hear our show from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Sharon Engel, we do have our first guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
It's my pleasure to introduce Tim Winter, who's the president of the Parents Television Council, PTC. He is a sought-after speaker and interview subject. He's often seen on television news circuit, including CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. He's frequently called by the nation's leading newspapers, such as USA Today, the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal, and he's a regular source for numerous industry publications such as Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and Broadcasting and Cable. Tim, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, good day to you guys from Los Angeles, and thank you for the introduction that I think my mother must have written.
Tim, they told us you wrote it this morning. I don't know. I'm just going by what Kelly told us.
Well, very, very polite of you guys for the flattering intro, and it's great to be back on the air with you.
It's great to have you. We're always glad to hear about what's going on television, and I was interested in the words vast wasteland, that the majority of television programming is a vast wasteland. That's according to the FCC chairman, Newton Minow. Talk to us a little bit about this vast wasteland, but more importantly, there's a coalition calling on the FCC to reform the TV's rating system. So talk to us a little bit about all of that, the rating system, and then why the FEC chairman would call it a vast wasteland.
Yep. Well, what's interesting is actually FCC Chairman Minow spoke those words in 1961. It has been that long since those words were spoken. He actually spoke before the National Association of Broadcasters back in 1961. He said, "Television has become a vast wasteland." Well, if yesterday was a vast wasteland, today is a toxic dump. The mission of the Parents Television Council, our nonprofit organization, or nonpartisan, nonprofit, grassroots-oriented nonprofit, our mission is to protect children from the graphic sex, violence, and profanity that seems so pervasive today in entertainment media culture. And we're increasingly concerned that it is more and more being targeted at children. And one way they do so, I think most of your listeners will at some point in time have turned on a television and seen in the top corner TV PG, TV 14, and the like. That's the content rating system, and it's like the motion picture system. When you go to the movies, you want to see, well, is it R-rated? I don't want to bring my kids to an R-rated movie, and so forth. The TV networks agreed to put that up there to give parents advisories and tools so that they could block material from the kids that they don't want to see in their homes. What we've learned is that those ratings are inaccurate, and they are determined solely by each different TV network. There is no uniformity across the different TV networks. The TV networks rate their own content. They usually rate it inaccurate in terms of too young. They market graphic sexual content and profanity and grotesque violence and they rate it as appropriate for children to watch. And that's why this coalition is coming together to call on the FCC that has oversight of this system to say, you know what, we can't let the fox guard the hen house here. We can't let the TV networks decide for themselves what to rate this stuff, because what they're doing is they're defrauding parents, they're hurting children, and it's a wretched system that needs to have some massive change.
Well, I thought it was really interesting. You know, I guess I'm just kind of ignorant about this, but I thought that the rating system was uniform between movies and video games and television, but that's not true.
It's absolutely not true. You have each industry that determines for itself the system that it's going to adopt. Most of us are familiar with the motion picture rating system. I think we all grew up with it, or most of us have grown up with it. We're all familiar with it, and I think most of us rely on it. And that's why, you know, after that system, that's how the TV system was implemented. But each network decides for itself what to rate a show. We've seen very explicit, profane, and sexual content rated PG by ABC Television, which, by the way, is owned by Disney. Disney rates Cinderella, the movie Cinderella, PG. And yet they're also rating harsh profanity and sexual dialogue, even between children, as PG as well. And you're accurate in saying that each system is independent. The video game industry has their own system. The music industry has its own guidelines for what the warnings to put on the side of a DVD box. So we think that it's silly for parents to have to learn 4 or 5 different systems just to monitor what their kids are hearing and seeing.
Well, I think you're exactly right, and I thought it was that way, and now I'm learning from you that, no, that's not the case. But even so, there's a thing called a V-chip. You can kind of protect your children. Isn't that right?
Well, the V-chip is installed in every television set sold in America. And it's a computer chip inside the television, and through your remote control, you can program the TV to block material you don't want your children to see. It is one of several tools parents can use, but the problem is the V-chip requires a content ratings of a show to then trigger the V-chip. You can set it to block what's called, for instance, MA, mature audiences only material for your child. But if the content rating is wrong, if it's actually TV mature audience MA rated material, but the network has called it TV 14, then the TV set will not block the material, and parents can't be able to do their job. So that's the problem with the V-chip. It requires the rating system to allow it to work.
Well, but what about the TV Parental Guidelines Oversight Monitoring Board? Aren't they supposed to protect us? I mean, even if the V-chip doesn't do it and the ratings don't do it, isn't there a board that's their task, is to help us with this? Well,
the FCC created 3 things 20 years ago. They created the V-chip, they created this content rating system, and they also created an oversight monitoring board. And boy, the sound of that sounds so majestic and wonderful, and it's there to help parents and protect kids. What we've found out is that the Oversight Monitoring Board is actually a group of television network executives who are the same people who rate the shows inaccurately to begin with. Can you imagine any other oversight that we would allow to take place that would be comprised of the very same industry executives who are alleged to be doing things deceitfully to begin with? And I think we look at the analogy here as I think most of us have at some point walked into a grocery store, and before you buy something, you'll pull the box off the shelf. You look at the back of the box, and what you'll see on the back of the box is the contents of the food you're going to eat, the calories and how many carbohydrates and fat grams and so forth. We rely on that because we're going to ingest the material into our bodies, and yet here we have content on television that is supposed to be rated and given the contents so that we can decide, do we want to ingest that into our bodies as well, into our minds and minds of our children.
Tim, we're at a place right now where we need to take a break, but I want to get back to this parental oversight board. And could we do that in 2 minutes? Will you stay with us?
I would be happy to stay with you.
Thank you so much. We're talking with Tim Winters about ratings on television, and we're coming to you live from the Conservative Commando's Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, and AM FM 24/7. Those are all .com. We'll be right back with you after this moment of break with Sharon Angle. That's me, Rick Trader, and our guest, Tim Winters.
Yeah, that's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the Internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, we're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know?
Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
You are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and Rick Trader and our guest, Tim Winters. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our website, www.ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com, or mornings at 9 a.m., log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com. At 1 p.m., you can log on to roarradio.net. And at 9 p.m., log on to highplainsdailynews.com. Now you can listen to Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. When we went to the break, we were talking with Tim Winters, who is our guest here on Conservative Commando's radio show. He's the president of Parents Television Council. And we were talking about the ratings on television and how they're not uniform with the ratings on video games or the ratings on movies, and that even your V-chip can't protect your children. And what's even more disconcerting, Tim, we were talking about this board that's been put in place that's solely for our protection, and yet they don't seem to be really having our best interests at heart. It seems like, as you said before the break, the fox watching the hen house. Could you continue on with your thought about that board and why we can't count on them?
Absolutely, and I guess I was up on a soapbox there, and I didn't consider you guys needing to go to a commercial break to pay your bills there, so I apologize for that. But the television content ratings system was ostensibly designed to help parents know what their children were watching, to be more involved with their children and their media consumption, and to allow themselves to do their jobs as parents, to make sure that they're watchful of what their children are consuming in terms of entertainment. And when you have material that according to the broadcast is appropriate for children, even though it's not, explicit sexual situations, both in shown and discussed, harsh profanity, gruesome, grotesque violence. When you have that type of material that's rated as appropriate for children, and you're not there to be able to watch 24 hours a day with your child, what's the parent to do? There is this oversight monitoring board that is supposed to make sure that the content ratings are accurate and that they're consistent across networks. And what we've learned is all it is a shell organization comprised of the very same TV network executives who rate material that's explicit as appropriate for children to begin with. And that's hardly any oversight. But they're doing so because they know that if content is rated accurately, fewer people will watch. Parents will be more mindful. We also know that television sponsors, advertisers, don't spend their media dollars on the MA, mature audience only rated shows. They don't want to align their brands with really explicit stuff, so they only want to sponsor TV 14 and TV PG material. So what the networks do is they rate explicit stuff. It's rated as 14, and that way the dollars still come in from the advertisers. So it's such a conflict of interest. What we want to do is have oversight, not allow this system to continue, bring parents and families and those to the table to allow us to come up with a better system. You described the different forms of media. Let's all get on the same page and use one system that everybody can understand, and allow parents to do their job. Allow Hollywood to market to children for stuff that's appropriate, but keep them from marketing harmful, explicit stuff to kids that are so innocent.
Well, I really appreciate it because you wrote a letter to the FCC just outlining this. You told them what the problem was and how to fix it. And I really appreciate you doing that, Tim. My co-host, Rick Trader, is waiting to ask you a few questions. Rick?
Thanks for joining us today. Tim, why don't parents know what they're watching on TV?
Because it is to the TV network's advantage that they don't understand what's out there. We become familiar with TV shows over the years. You can like or dislike a particular show. You learn a little bit about it. But when in a 500-channel universe, you don't know every show what it's about, and whether it's something that's healthy for your family or unhealthy, whether it's something that is consistent with your family's values or inconsistent. And that's why the Parents Television Council is here. We try to help parents navigate the minefield that has become, that really television has become today. But it is to the TV network's advantage for you not to know. It is to their advantage for them to give the appearance that all this stuff is safe for children when it's not only in terms of getting parents and families to watch shows, but as I said a minute ago, to get the sponsors' dollars in the door.
Tim, we've had you and Melissa on the Conservative Commandos before. And I always bring up the question of we conservatives, we're parents voting what programs are on with our dollars by supporting those networks and such. How can people do that?
The most important thing is to be aware and to know that you have a voice. I think so many Americans are overwhelmed by a media landscape they disagree with, or they're unhappy with, or they feel is toxic. And the most important thing they can do is realize that they have an important voice. All of broadcast television is made possible because of advertising dollars. And by talking to the advertisers of each show, whether you like it or don't like it, what you can do is you can pick up the phone and call. What you can do today that you couldn't do even just a few years ago, go onto Facebook and go to the advertising, the company that's doing the sponsoring, go to their Facebook page and post a comment. What we've seen is that those Facebook pages are monitored by corporate marketing people. They're reading them, and it's a great means by which to speak up and speak out.
Well, Tim, we always appreciate having you and Melissa join us to talk about what is going on at the Parents Television Council. Can you tell our audience where they could go to read the letter that you and a lot of other distinguished people have sent to Chairman Wheeler of the SEC and what they can do?
Yep. Our website is www.parentstv.org, parentstv.org. You can learn about all manner of things about television. You can read this letter that you're talking about, Rick, that is co-signed not just signed by me, but American Family Association and Media Research Center and Concerned Women for America, Million Moms, Family Research Council. I think there were a couple dozen groups that signed this letter. We would urge your listeners to go and sign the petition to say, you know what, this rating system is a fraud and it needs some overhaul.
And do petitions work, Tim?
They certainly can. And what's wonderful, I just got back from Washington, D.C. a week or so ago, and I was on Capitol Hill and at the FCC talking about this very issue. And I was overwhelmingly delighted by the positive feedback we got. And what's interesting is it's not just, it's both sides of the aisle. Both houses of Congress saw that this is an issue that really is touching families every day and needs some scrutiny. What they need to hear is our voice saying, let's push this through, let's have a hearing, let's have some oversight, and every voice truly does matter.
Tim Winter, President of Parents Television Council, we want to thank you for joining us, and one more time, give out that website.
www.parentstv.org. Membership is free.
Tim Winter, thank you for joining us. Take care. God bless. Keep up the great work.
Thank you guys so much.
And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, AM, FM, 24/7. Don't go away. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Ron Meyer about Wendy's replacing people with kiosks. Be right back.
You've heard Paul Delch playing the music on the Your Music Matters morning show. He is also an experienced mortgage loan officer working for U.S. Mortgage Corporation and assists homeowners navigate the reverse mortgage process. If you are finding yourself asking questions whether or not you set aside enough for retirement, Paul can sit down with you, your family, and your financial advisor and discuss how a reverse mortgage may be a valuable resource for your retirement plan. You will be responsible for paying your taxes and insurance, and the reverse mortgage can help with this and other expenses, such as home health care or other untimely bills. Put Paul's 20-plus years of experience to work for you, as choosing the right option for your situation can be critical. Call Paul at U.S. Mortgage Corporation at 877-213-9977. That's 877-213-9977. Or go to seniormatters.info for more information. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is a licensed mortgage banker in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 3901. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is located at 201 Old Country Road, Suite 140, Melville, New York, 11747. This advertisement applies to first lien mortgages. Paul E. Dilks, NMLS is 485904.
Hi, We're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know?
Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and Rick Trader. And For rebroadcasts of our show, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m., log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com, at 1 p.m., roarradio.net, or at 9 p.m., highplains.dailynews.com. But you can hear our show and all the shows that are part of Conservative Commandos by calling 832-999-1199. And we do have our next guest with us, and Sharon Engel, I'll swing it to you for the introduction.
It's my honor to introduce Ron Meyer, who's the editor of Red Alert Politics. In 2015, Ron was elected to the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors serving the Broad Run District. He's also the former spokesman of Young America's Foundation and president of Springboard Media Strategies. He's been a frequent guest on Fox News, Fox Business, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, and radio shows across the nation. Ron, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, Sharon. Hey, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's always our pleasure, Ron. And you've written an article, Wendy's to replace workers with kiosks in up to 6,000 plus restaurants. What
yeah, that's right.
Does that mean to the workforce? It just stops you cold, Ron.
Well, it's exactly. I mean, it's very shocking, but really not surprising. But the interesting thing is that the president of Wendy's is openly admitting that one of the reasons why is because of these wage pressures, minimum wages in different cities, and wage prices across the country because of what's happening. And so what we're seeing is because of the minimum wage, especially in the Seattle area and a lot of these municipalities that are trying to go to $15 or more, is that companies are saying, you know what? We're franchises. It's not like we're run by a huge corporation. These franchises, these restaurants are owned by individual people who most of the time make an average of $150,000 of profit per year. So we're not talking about millionaires and billionaires who own these small restaurants. And so when they have to pay another $100,000 of labor costs because of a minimum wage hike, a dramatic minimum wage hike, they have no choice. And so what Wendy's is saying, you know what? Instead of having our guys go out of business, we're going to provide these kiosks now. And so instead of hiring, somebody who's either, in college, home for the summer, or a high school kid, or someone who's just trying to get some experience under their belt, they're putting in these kiosks instead. And it's destroying the employment opportunities for a lot of young Americans.
Well, I thought it was an interesting quote you had here from the Investors Business Daily, where they say it's not surprising that some franchises might face more of the labor cost squeeze than company restaurants. Why is that? Talk about why these fast food restaurants are suffering more than anybody else.
Well, it's because it's because they're small businesses versus, the company stores are run by a corporation. So a corporation can absorb bigger costs because they're bigger. But a lot of people don't understand. When you go into a McDonald's, when you go into a Wendy's, when you go into a Burger King, they're owned usually by individuals who might have one store or two stores, at most 5 or 10 stores. And so if you're a small business person and you're invested in a McDonald's, you might be making $150,000 or $200,000 a year from that McDonald's that you have risked your money, taking out loans for, to try to make a relatively normal sort of small business owner salary. And now these minimum wage laws are saying, okay, well, your profit of $150,000 or $200,000 can be chopped in half now. And so if they have a family that they have to feed, if they have mortgage payments they have to meet, they have to figure out how to do something to save on these costs. And so what they're doing is instead, they have to turn to kiosks, otherwise they can't stay in business.
Well, I don't think that we think of McDonald's and Wendy's like that. We think of them as big corporations. Why can't they absorb this? Right. But what you're telling us is that this is a small businessman that's bought a franchise, and it really doesn't have much to do with corporate America. It's the guy down the street that's running this.
Well, that's right. I mean, really the only profit that the corporations see is a franchise fee, and sometimes they get a percentage of the revenue and the profit. And so that's how these work. It's not that there's this big multinational corporation that owns hundreds and thousands of restaurants worldwide. They operate franchises, and this is part of the problem with academia and with our school system now is they don't teach people how businesses work and how corporations work, even the most common of businesses. And so our young people who are out there supporting Bernie Sanders, are out there saying that we need a $15 minimum wage, have no clue how a normal business runs, much less how these franchises run. And this is a big problem that we're seeing right now. Now, Red Alert Politics, we're a publication that's run by millennials for millennials, and obviously we're a conservative. We're probably the one conservative site for millennials. And so what we're seeing is with our generation, a lot of people are falling for these arguments, and we're out there trying to debunk them.
Well, thank you for that, because you're exactly right. We need to know what the real world is like before we start demanding entitlements. Jamie Richardson, the vice president of White Castle, said this could create a whole generation of kids who won't get their first job. What does he mean by that? I mean, here we are thinking that it's just normal, right? You go, you get your job when you're 16. Everybody kind of looks forward to having a little bit of cash, but now he's saying this probably won't happen.
That's right. My first job when I was 15 and a half or 16, was at a Papa Murphy's franchise. Papa Murphy's is take and bake pizza. Now, a lot of kids in my situation, you have to make some extra money. Your parents may or may not be wealthy. My parents certainly were not. If I wanted to buy shoes or if I wanted to buy anything, I had to work on the side. And so I went to a local franchise. I took a minimum wage job for probably like $7 or $8 an hour so I could make some extra money. But now, basically, any way these businesses can save money right now, because they're not only being squeezed by the minimum wage, they're being squeezed by Obamacare. If they have more than 50 employees, they're not having to provide health care for fast food workers too. And so there's all these costs from the federal government, whether it's the EPA or Obamacare or these minimum wage laws, that are just squeezing small businesses. So they can't hire people anymore. They have to turn to other means. And it's unfortunate that, and I know, frankly, if you talk to these small business owners, they don't want to do this. They don't want to have to use kiosks or have to fire people. It's some of the most painful things you'd have to do in business. But it's the choice of, okay, do I keep this restaurant open or do I close it? Because if you're not going to make money on a restaurant, are we trying to force people into losing money and it just doesn't make sense. People will go bankrupt and go out of business. And so people need to realize the consequences of some of these actions. And what minimum wage laws do is it take, a starter job. What I was doing when I took that first job at Papa Murphy's, I wasn't trying to make a living. I wasn't trying to feed my family. I was trying to get experience. I was trying to earn extra money on the side. And people in America should be able to do that, should be allowed to do that. And these laws kill those types of jobs.
Well, you're exactly right. And, you had some CEOs of these fast food restaurants kind of weigh in, Hardee's CEO and McDonald's CEO. And tell us what they said about this, Ron, about this whole idea of who's going to be serving us in their restaurants.
Right. Well, so we quoted a White Castle executive, and we quoted the CEOs from McDonald's and from Wendy's and an executive from Burger King. I mean, all of these people are saying about the same thing, is that if costs go up, you have to find out how you're going to save the money. And what it's going to do is it's going to kill the starter job market. It's going to kill entry-level positions. It's going to affect young Americans the most. And these are people who are the CEOs saying that. So some people are like, well, why do you care about what the CEO has to say? They're the ones getting paid the most. But they also are the ones who are mostly objective, because they actually aren't the ones who are going to take the hit on this so much. It is their franchisees that are taking the hit. And so they're pointing out that we're probably going to lose franchisees. We're going to lose the number of restaurants that's under our corporation, because people are either going to go bankrupt or we have to give them another option. And so, we hear a lot of executives now saying we're going to have to turn to robotics. We're going to have to turn to kiosk technology, because that's the only way they can exist because of what government is doing.
Hey, Sharon, we lose you? Hey, Ron, I think we just lost Sharon. Listen, Ron, we have to go to break. Could you hold on for just 2 minutes for us, please?
Sure.
And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you live from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. at WNJC 1360 AM, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, AM, FM 24/7. Don't go away. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation with Ron Meyer, editor of Red Alert Politics, about Wendy's to replace workers with kiosks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
We're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know?
Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. Log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com. At 1 p.m., roarradio.net. At 9 p.m., highplainsdailynews.com. You can also hear our show from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Our guest this segment is Ron Meyer. He is the editor of Red Alert Politics, and we're talking about Wendy's to replace workers with kiosks. Ron, thanks for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course.
Ron, you know, $15, I mean, it's the cry. I mean, here in New Jersey, they want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Over in Philadelphia, the new mayor of Philadelphia ran on raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Ron, it seems to me that these minimum wage hikes are hurting the people they're intending to help. So who actually benefits from them?
The only people that benefit from them are people who would be competing with them, I suppose. And so, I mean, some of the public sector unions certainly are the ones out there pushing it the most. And so you should sort of question their motives on this. But you're exactly right. It hurts the people who it's designed to help. I mean, it's trying to, the people who support it, and most of them I think are well-intentioned, are saying, you know, we need to give young people especially some more money so they can spend it in the economy and so they can feed their children and do all these things. And I think that those are legitimate points, but you also have to look at what are going to be the ramifications. And what we're seeing is the ramifications. I'm actually traveling today in Seattle. And in Seattle, they raised the minimum wage to $15. They're doing it gradually. But in Seattle, after they established this and after it started to take effect, they experienced the worst 3 months of job losses they have ever seen among young Americans, that they have ever measured since they started measuring job statistics in Seattle. And so what does that tell you? What does that tell you is that the ramifications for raising the minimum wage is that there are going to be many fewer...
Are they noticing it? Are the idiot politicians who run, if you ask me that question, I say it's the stupid idiot politicians who have these schemes that benefit the most from them because they use it as a plank in their campaign to get elected. They could... The statistics are out there, Ron. You have them. I have them. Anybody with a brain between their ears has them, but these idiot politicians keep pushing this same idea of raising minimum wage. And, we're going to lift people out of poverty. Ron, I don't care if minimum wage is $50 an hour. They're still going to be the lowest paid on the totem pole.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that they actually aren't idiots. They're just very, very shrewd. If you look at the polling on this, I actually saw that the most recent YouGov poll, and YouGov is very, very, very well respected. They polled 3,000 people. It's a very scientific poll. I think it's about. I'm pulling this statistic sort of from memory, but it was over 55% of the country supports raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So it polls very, very well, and that's why politicians run on it. But what we're talking about is really what's the best policy and what empowers the most people. And part of the other issue is that Republicans don't do a very good job. Our Republican politicians, conservative politicians, don't do a very good job debunking this. And so I can't really blame politicians who only want to get elected, and that's their only motivation if they don't have principles for running on this or saying this is what they want to do. Because politically, if you read polls, it makes sense. People support it. But it's partially because we haven't had articulate conservatives out there making the case for why it actually hurts young people, doesn't empower them.
Ron, let's do a little bit of mathematics. Wendy's, 6,000 plus restaurants to put kiosks in. Let's say that replaces 10 shift workers. That means in Wendy's restaurants alone, we're losing 60,000 jobs. Now, that's just Wendy's. That's not McDonald's. That's not Burger King. That's not Kentucky Fried Chicken or any others. That's 60,000 jobs in just Wendy's alone. What type of impact, Ron, do you think this is going to have nationally?
Well, you have to remember McDonald's. Many of the restaurants there have already began their switch to kiosks. Panera, a major brand across the country, has begun a switch to kiosks. Almost every restaurant, almost every restaurant chain you're seeing is looking at these kiosks, especially in urban areas where you're seeing this wage inflation. And so the new stores, the ones that are popping up in a lot of these, millennial type areas, you're seeing a lot of kiosks there. And it's not really just for convenience. It's really because of the cost issues. And so, it's really becoming a larger trend, and it is really unfortunate that we're going to see fewer young people have starter job opportunities, and instead what we're going to see there is kiosks, and hopefully your grandmother who struggles with technology can figure them out, but we'll have to see.
Well, I'm no genius, Ron, but there's a chain of stores around here called Wawa, which I love, have great coffee, by the way, and they have kiosks in their deli department. When you go to order a hoagie, all right, you don't give an order to a clerk. Use a kiosk machine, and they're very easy to use, and they're fast, and they're efficient. They're actually kind of fun.
Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, and that's part of the other thing is, too, as kiosks get better, they make more reasonable alternatives because people are getting used to using that type of technology, especially as our society keeps making advances with smart technology. kiosks are going to have their own appeal just on that alone. And
Right.
so this is an even bigger reason why, if you're going to inflate minimum wage and make those people even more expensive, then it's going to be worth the investment for these businesses, because it is an investment. It's a big cost to buy all those machines. They are not cheap.
No.
Systems aren't cheap. But it makes sense if you're going to save money long term. And that's what they're seeing, especially in these places with minimum wage. It makes sense to invest thousands and thousands of dollars for these machines. Because, yes, in some instances it can be more convenient. But secondly, over time, the big investment up front is going to be worth it in these places where there's a large minimum wage increase.
You know, Ron, we're not just talking fast food restaurants. For instance, Home Depot, you go in there now, they have self-service checkouts. I mean, it's easy to use. And if you just have a few items, it's quicker to go through those self-checkout lines. Hey, Ron, you were talking about your first job, right?
Yeah.
What did you say? You made like $6-something an hour?
Yeah, I was making somewhere between $6 and $8 an hour.
Well, my first job, Ron, when I was 14 years old, working with my uncle and my brother who were in the plumbing business for $1 an hour. $1 an hour, Ron. That was my first job. Yeah. And I learned a lot of things. I really did. I learned a lot of things working with my brother and my uncle. In fact, I'm 66. I'm going to be 66. This morning, my wife told me there was no hot water. Well, I went down in the basement, Ron. There was a leak in a hot water heater. I was able to fix that leak because what I learned when I was 14 years old, God knows what I saved by not calling a plumber. Didn't have to call a plumber, Ron. There are a lot of benefits from minimum wage jobs or menial jobs or working with somebody for $1 or $2 an hour that will stay with you for the rest of your life.
Well, that's right, too. I mean, this is part of an issue that we've seen with internships, too, is that liberals have gone after unpaid internships. And so there's just been fewer of them because of that reason, too. And so fewer people have opportunities to sort of learn the tricks of the trade. And so whether it's these minimum wage type jobs or internships, there's really a war on entry-level positions. And we wonder why the youth economy, the millennial economy, has come back so much slower than the rest of the economy. And it's exactly for these reasons. And it's really this war of unintended consequences, because these liberals have the best intentions, and if you really only have a sort of basic understanding of economics, you think that just raising the minimum wage isn't going to hurt anybody. It's just going to give people more money magically. Just like, if you do free college magically, young people are going to have free college, and there's going to be no cost aspect of that. It's people who sort of don't make the next step of, okay, what is the unintended consequences of that?
Hey, Ron Meyer, we have to run, but I wanted to tell you to tell our audience how they could follow your work and the work of Red Alert Politics.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. It's redalertpolitics.com, and our Twitter handle is @RedAlert. And so we have a staff of 5 millennial writers. We're writing, we're writing stuff geared towards millennials from a conservative perspective, trying to educate the next generation.
Well, Ron Meyer, send them our way.
Thank you. We will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Take care and God bless. And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network at WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, AM, FM 24/7. We are everywhere. We're everywhere. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Trey Owens Phillips from The Blaze about Cruz campaign set to challenge Trump in Texas. Thought it was all over. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You've heard Paul Delks playing the music on the Your Music Matters morning show. He is also an experienced mortgage loan officer working for U.S. Mortgage Corporation and assists homeowners navigate the reverse mortgage process. If you are finding yourself asking questions whether or not you set aside enough for retirement, Paul can sit down with you, your family, and your financial advisor and discuss how a reverse mortgage may be a valuable resource for your retirement plan. You will be responsible for paying your taxes and insurance, and the reverse mortgage can help with this and other expenses, such as home health care or other untimely bills. Put Paul's 20 20-plus years of experience to work for you, as choosing the right option for your situation can be critical. Call Paul at U.S. Mortgage Corporation at 877-213-9977. That's 877-213-9977. Or go to seniormatters.info for more information. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is a licensed mortgage banker in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 3901. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is located at 201 Old Country Road, Suite 140, Melville, New York, 11747. This advertisement applies to first lien mortgages. Paul E. Dilks, NMLS is 485904.
Hi, we're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know?
Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. Log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com at 1 p.m. roarradio.net at 9 p.m. highplainsdailynews.com, or you can hear our show and all the shows that are part of Conservative Commandos from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Sharon Engel, we do have our next guest with us. Will you please make the introduction?
It's my pleasure to introduce Trey Goins-Phillips, who is the assistant editor and staff writer for The Blaze. Prior to joining The Blaze, he was the opinion editor at Liberty Champion, Liberty University student-run newspaper. He's written on a wide range of topics spanning culture, politics, and religion. His work has been featured in the Washington Post, the Christian Examiner, Fox News, the Religious News Service, and additionally, he has been cited in the New York Times, MSNBC, the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and MTV News. He has interviewed personalities like Liberty University President Jerry Falwell Jr., author Johnny Moore, former Minnesota Representative Michelle Bachmann, author and journalist Jonathan Merritt, and many more. Trey, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Trey. You wrote an article, Cruz campaign set to challenge Trump in Texas. We have a busy weekend planned. Now, I thought it was all over but the shouting, Trey. I thought Trump was the nominee, that we were moving on. Isn't it over?
Well, it seems the party is, as everybody knows, it's very well documented. It's still extremely divided on the Republican side, and it seems that that's a similar case on the left, though the media isn't picking up on it. But I think the left is about as equally divided as they kind of rebrand themselves. But that's a whole different story. But on the right, I think the Never Trump movement is still going strong, and I think we won't see the full power of the Never Trump movement until we get to November and we see the general election, whether a third party emerges or if there is some way that they can unseat Trump as the nominee. But Senator Cruz has not outwardly said whether he's going to endorse Mr. Trump, and he's since earlier this week, or last week, he kind of hinted that he may be jumping back into the race. So it seems like it might not be quite as sealed up and done as we think it is, because the Cruz campaign is still trying to work the delegates.
Well, I guess that's what suspension of the campaign means. It's only suspended. He could jump back in. Is that correct?
That's correct. And he said that he's suspended his campaign, which, like you said, when you suspend, you still hold on to your delegates. And he has also told all of the delegates that have already been collected, he said, don't leave. I want you to stay as my delegates. And he's contacted every state where he has delegates and said, I'd like to hold on to these delegates because, and it may not be that he's trying to get the nomination, because mathematically that's nearly impossible at this point, if not totally impossible. But what he might be trying to do is trying to angle himself to where he can still influence the party platform, because in order for Mr. Trump to earn the nomination, he's going to need to woo over some of these Cruz delegates, and maybe he's hoping for some concessions in the conservative platform.
Well, and you name the other states. It's not just Texas we're talking about. Name some of the others, and I was interested because my state's in there.
Right, there's Texas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Nevada, Arkansas, Florida, Wisconsin, and Mississippi are all holding conventions this weekend. And like I noted in the article, if Cruz is hoping to make some sort of power play, whether that means he wants to challenge a nomination with an open an open contested convention, or if he just wants to influence the party platform. This weekend is the time to do it because there are 389 delegates up for grabs this weekend, which is the largest haul of the entire primary season, at least for the Republicans.
It is a problem, though, don't you think, Trey? I know here in Nevada we are going to convention. We started today. We'll be in convention all day tomorrow and part of Sunday. But when Cruz suspended, the delegates just lost heart that he had. And the other thing is that Trump is bringing a slate. And the Trump people are saying, we're only voting for these 27. There's 27 delegates. That's all Nevada has. But we're only going to send a list of 27. When we stand up and raise our green fly swatters, you vote yes. If we raise our red fly swatters, you vote no. And so how do you beat a machine like that?
Like I said, I think this is less about necessarily beating Donald Trump and more about conceding that he might be the nominee. He's going to be the nominee in all likelihood, but we need to find some way of influencing the party. I think it's a play to change the platform, to guarantee that, okay, you got the nomination and you have a good chance, obviously, as one of the two nominees for the major parties of being the next president. So we don't like you, but we're going to make sure that we still have influence on the party. Now, whether he holds to that once he gets to the White House, should he be elected, that's anybody's guess. But Cruz and others are at least trying to use this as a power play to say, you're not going to get the nomination and you're not going to get the respect of your elected officials unless you at least concede to these different issues. And the platform is going to be ultimately written at the convention. So I think the Cruz campaign is looking to that.
Okay, so we're looking that most of the delegates will probably be Trump delegates. It's looking very much like that from Nevada, that we probably will have 27 solidly Trump delegates. So really what we're looking for then in those Trump delegates is people that support a party platform that the rest can live with. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you?
Right, because I don't see how, Cruz is hoping of the 155 delegates that Texas has. Cruz is hoping to get a solid 24. So either way, it's not going to be enough for him to earn any sort of delegation that's going to lead to him getting the nomination in any way. I think this is more about, okay, we've got to deal with this. So how can we deal with it and push our conservative agenda down the road the farthest? So I think this is more just cleaning up the mess that many think has been made because of Trump.
Trey, we have to go to a break. We have about 2 minutes. Can you stay with us through that break?
I can.
Great. We're coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Red State Talk Radio, and AM FM 24/7. Those are all .com. We'll be back after this break with Sharon Angle, Rick Trader, and Trey Goins-Phillips talking about Trump and the convention coming up and what's going on with the other delegates that aren't given to Trump. Be right back.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding. to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, we're David and Patty Barrickman of Wildflower Ridge Honey, beekeepers for 49 years. I want to tell you about a great survival and a multi-use product called Trail Rations. It is pure honey and a product of the USA. Trail Rations comes in a food-grade 12-ounce, very durable and reusable pouch, ready for immediate use or for long-term storage, because honey is the only food that never spoils. Honey is instant energy and goes right straight to your bloodstream. Honey is one of the best all-natural survival foods, natural sweetener right straight from Mother Nature. Honey is also antiviral, fungal, and bacterial. It's your first aid in a pouch. Carry one in your backpack or your bug-out bag. Find us on Facebook, Wildflower Ridge Honey, or call 765-641-9972, 765-641-9972.
I think we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Remove the federal prohibition on marijuana.
Climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material. Certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
We have a lot to learn from democratic socialist governments that have existed in countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway.
This campaign is about a political revolution to transform this country.
You know?
Now more than ever, we need our voice in Washington. Now more than ever, we need Sharon Angle in Washington. Go to runsharonangle.com and help us draft Sharon Angle to run for U.S. Senate.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com. Mornings at 9 a.m., leadingedgeradionetwork.com. At 1 p.m., log on to roarradio.net. Or at 9 p.m., log on to highplainsdailynews.com. Or you could hear our show from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Our guest this segment is Trey Goins-Phillips. He's the assistant editor and staff writer for theblaze.com. Trey, thanks for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Trey, boy, I'll tell you, do you think that maybe Ted Cruz has heard the Never Trumpers and maybe he's thinking at this time, well, maybe I bailed out a little too soon?
He might be. I don't know. I mean, he did just sign his papers that he's running for re-election to the Senate. So, you know, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's for certain. And you know, that is entirely possible that he has heard the Never Trump movement and maybe thinks there's a possibility there for something, whether it is the nomination or, like I said earlier, at least concessions in the party platform. He certainly knows that there's a desire there for something other than Trump, because, you know, as much as a lot of the media and a lot of the Republican Party and and Democrats on the left want to say it's all closed and done, and Trump is the nominee, and Trump will be representing the Republican Party. That may be true in the sense that he did win he has almost at least won the nomination, but the party still remains extremely divided.
Right.
So there's room for a potential third party. Now, whether that's Cruz or somebody else, I don't know. But Cruz is at least, paying attention to that desire, and he seems to be playing it in some way. And I don't know how that's going to turn out until we get to the convention. But I don't see a way for him mathematically to get the nomination in this effort. So I think it's largely about influencing the platform.
You think he might be lining himself up for something else? Like maybe, I don't know, do you think that with all the rancor that's happened in the past few months during these debates and the primaries, do you think there's any way that Trump or Cruz could work together?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's room, maybe Cruz is trying to line himself up for some sort of a deal like vice president or attorney general or Supreme Court nominee. What's your thoughts, Trey?
I think Supreme Court nominee is probably the closest of those three that you listed. Vice President, in this election, it's anybody's guess, as you know, but I just don't see Cruz and Trump coming together to be that close on a ticket. Now, Trump did say it recently, I think it was last week, that he does plan to reach out to Senator Cruz in the future. Now, whether that's going to turn into any sort of real coalition between the two, I have no idea. But I would say that maybe Attorney General or maybe a Supreme Court Justice or just an influential, maybe an advisor to the president. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but it might be that he's trying to get closer to Trump.
Troy, by any chance, are you down there in Texas? Are you going to that convention?
I am not. I'm actually based out of and living in Virginia right now.
Well, Trey, you mentioned a bit that Cruz is not going anywhere. And I've seen speculation that he's keeping his irons in the fire, very much like Ronald Reagan did in 1976, setting himself up for 2020.
Right.
Can you see that path?
I do. I think both Cruz and Rubio will likely be running again, and I think 2020 is definitely. I think Cruz wants everybody to keep his name on their lips. He wants his name to be very recognizable. So I think he's going to play an influential role. Whether that means he's vice president or even in the White House administration at all, I don't know. But he will be playing a big role, I think, moving forward, whether that's challenging Mr. Trump as president or assisting him in some way. I do not think he's going anywhere, and I do think we'll see his name as the presidential candidate in the near future again.
What do you think is going to come out of these conventions? I think, in other words, Trey, what do you think Monday morning is going to look like? Do you think it's going to alter anything, or do you think the things are going to look very different come this coming Monday morning?
I think for the average American, things will look largely the same. And I think maybe for the politicos who pay a lot of attention to all of this, they might see a shift in how the party platform and how the Cleveland convention is going to end up going. I think we'll get a taste of how strong Cruz's delegation is going in, and also how forceful they're going to be in what they want. Mm-hmm. Like I said, for the average American, I think the opinion that people have and the perspective people have will be largely unchanged. But I think to those who pay a lot of attention, we'll start to see, okay, how strong really is this Never Trump or pro-Cruz movement going forward, and is it going to be something that Trump is going to have to contend with for months to come?
Trey, as you have in your article, and you and Sharon were talking about the 8 other states where conventions are happening this week. Nebraska, Oklahoma, Nevada, Arkansas, Florida, Wisconsin. Total of 389 delegates to be determined. Do you think Cruz got out a little too early and maybe should have waited a couple extra weeks?
I I do. I thought it was kind of odd that he got out so quickly. Now, I do know that he kind of he spoke and talked about Indiana sort of being his firewall,
right?
And he did lose handily.
Yes, he did.
It was a big lose for him.
Do you think it was the fact that he lost handily, or was he running out of money?
I don't know necessarily that he was running out of money. That could have played a role, but I think the Never Trump movement was so strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could have at least, he might not have gone on to win many more states,
mm-hmm.
but he could have chipped off Trump a little bit more, I think, with or without money, just because the Never Trump movement has strength. That I think that would have carried him for at least a little longer. If I were him, I would have at least waited through this weekend, because he had to know going forward what how many delegates were up for grabs this weekend.
Yeah.
I think he should have waited out at least through next week.
I do too.
For whatever reason, he chose to suspend, even though he had Carly Fiorina. So, I think that was the shortest vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, like what was that? Hey, Trey, please tell our audience how they could follow your work.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Please tell our audience how they could read your articles and follow your work.
Absolutely. If you go to theblaze.com, we have a search tab right up at the top. You can type in my name. It's TRE. And if you just put in my first name, all of my articles will pop up. But I suggest definitely going to theblaze.com and reading as much of our coverage as you can. We try to be fair, balanced, honest, and bring the news that we know the right-leaning America is interested in.
Trey, I hope this is the first of many visits to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, and let me know if you'd ever like to have me again.
Absolutely. You take care. God bless.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
And Sharon Engel, I wanted to bring you back in. Are you going to be at the convention in Nevada?
I am, in fact, going over there today. They are having a parliamentary procedure class, helping everybody learn how to use the rules and what the rules are. And then tomorrow we're going to be electing those 27 delegates. But as I said, I've gone to some of the trainings for these delegates and found out that there are just slates. There are people that they've selected. There is actually kind of a little rumbling going on within the Trump camp, because there's two factions that say, no, our 27 are better than your 27. So it should be rousing, even though he's the only candidate.
Who determines which 27 go? Is there a vote, or is there a fist fight, or what is there?
Yes, it's a secret ballot, and it's passed.
Now, who does the voting?
There is campaigning going on right now. People
who does the voting?
Trying to get enough delegates. Pardon me?
Who does the voting?
There are delegates from every county that come, and each county has several delegates depending on their population. So there'll be over 1,000 people at the convention, and out of those 1,000 that will have the ability to vote for delegates, only 27 will be picked. So there's campaigning going on right now between the delegates who want to go.
Hey, Sharon, talk about campaigning. You're out there. You're running, seeking the Republican nomination to run for Senate, Harry Reid's seat. Remind our listeners how they could help you.
Oh, thank you, Rick, for that. It's SharonEngle.com. Go to SharonEngle.com and fit me into your budget. Thanks, Rick.
All right. Sharon, what about, can people make phone calls from you, for you, remote phone calls? Have you got that set?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got that figured out. It's a wonderful thing sometimes, this technology. And so even if you're sitting in an easy chair there in Deptford, New Jersey, you can make phone calls.
I might do that. I think I will. We'll get John Forsythe Jr., Silent John, to make phone calls for you also. Hey, Sharon, I want to thank you for sitting in today as my co-host. I also want to thank our guests, Tim Winter, Ron Myers, Trey Goins-Phillips. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next week on the radio. Have a great weekend.